Welcome to Inside Auto Podcast, where we feature everyone and anyone you'd want to talk to in and out of the automotive industry.
Ilana Shabtai here, host of Inside Auto Podcast, where we interview top dealers, GMs, marketers, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders in and out of the automotive industry. Before we introduce today's guest, this episode is sponsored by AutoLeadStar.com. AutoLeadStar is automotive's first and leading customer data and experience platform, CDXP. Top dealers invest in CDXPs to unify dealership data sources, automatically create one-to-one customized journeys, and execute omni-channel shopping experiences. It's an all-in-one connected platform. Today, we have one of our own on the podcast joining us, Ido Elad. Ido, how are you?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
I am doing well. He's live from our new Tel Aviv office, which is very exciting. So even though we're both in Israel, I'm in Jerusalem and he's in Tel Aviv, which is basically like another country. So glad that you're joining us. It's what?
It's just 45 minutes.
It's 45 minutes, but it feels like a different country. It's exciting that we have a Tel Aviv office now. And so Ido is our director of product. He's also been with AutoLeadStar for over 7 years, which is really exciting. He's really built out our entire product suite and now directs and oversees the most, all of our products, but focuses on the new ones as they roll out. And we have their newest product. We've released Data Lake, but one of our newer products, which it's been about 13 months since we released it, is Nurture. Tell us a little bit about what Nurture is and what it was like to develop, and then we'll go into specifically audience automation, which is only a very small subset of what Nurture even does.
Yeah. So first of all, happy to be here, finally, joining the podcast. Let's talk about Nurture. So the way we like to think about Nurture is as a CRM utilization tool, right? So instead of thinking of an email marketing tool, we think about it as a CRM utilization. What that means is that we identified over the years building our other solutions that dealerships only leverage a very tiny percentage of their CRM, right? So in the best case, dealerships have some automations in their CRM built in for some very specific audiences. In some cases, you see people in the dealership that can segment and pull some different audiences for the CRM. But at the end of the day, when we took a look at the data that we have, we found out that dealerships are only leveraging or only engaging even just 15 to 20% of their CRM, which leaves a lot of money on the table, right? There's a lot of people out there that already showed interest in the dealership. The dealership already have their contact details. The dealership already knows in a sense what is interesting for those shoppers, but no one is engaging with them. No one is trying to bring them back to the dealership. No one is trying to get them into the next vehicle. And coming from technology and looking at all of the data that we already have, it was very fun for us to start and build something that can help the dealership utilize that data and make sure that we can engage with those shoppers and eventually create new revenue stream for the dealership.
And I'll add to that, I think we saw, even if the dealership was engaging with those leads, it was completely irrelevant, not targeted, what they like to call spray and pray method, where it was just, let's send out an email to 80,000 people with absolutely no understanding of what their buying history was.
Exactly. Yeah. So we all know those blast emails. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But again, coming from the technology, looking at the data, we thought that we can do a better job at personalizing and micro-targeting those customers. And we see the results today, 13 months in. So that's very exciting for us.
Yeah, definitely. And part of the value of having a system like this is what we like to call audience automation. So another phenomenon that we see is that when dealers do want to stay at the cutting edge and they do want to be engaging their shoppers and their leads in a more relevant way, they're cutting audiences manually, taking them from the CRM, downloading them, uploading them, which is great, meaning it's great that they're on the right track, but it takes away two things. One, it's a lot of manual work. And two, it still doesn't solve for the real-time automation, meaning that person who you just uploaded might be a different type of shopper in a week or 2 weeks. And now they're stuck in this, CSV that you just uploaded. So talk a little bit about what audience automation is and how Nurture solves for it.
Right. So to understand audience automation, let's talk about what's an audience. As you said, right, an audience is basically a segment of my shoppers, not necessarily just my CRM shoppers, right? My shoppers are in my CRM, but they're also on my website. They're also clicking on ads. They're interacting with my dealership in many different channels. So an audience is basically a segment of my shoppers defined by a specific set of rules or criteria, usually used for targeting or even retargeting. So just a few examples that we all know, right? So let's say I wanna target anyone who's in my CRM and never bought a car from me, right? That's an audience. A different audience can be anyone who showed interest in a specific VIN on my website or in my CRM. A different audience can be anyone who bought a car for me, and their finance terms are due in the next 3 months. All of these audiences are audiences that many dealerships want to target, or even some of them target these audiences. But I think it's there's a lot of manual work involved, right? And it's very challenging to keep track of those audiences, mainly because of 3 reasons, right? So one is that the data is scattered over multiple data sources, right? It's in my CRM, it's in my website, it's in my ads platform, it's all over the place. It's very hard to find the data and get to that data. Another thing that any dealership knows is that the data is messy, right? The CRM data is always messy. There's a lot of human errors. People are typing names of vehicles into the CRM. My website is not always up to date. It's messy. It's not normalized. And the third thing that makes it very challenging is that the data is dynamic, right? So on Monday, a shopper status in the CRM was A. The next day, it's B. The third day, they're now shopping my website. It's dynamic. It's not static, right? And if I really want to create an audience, and I want that audience to be with high quality, I need to do a lot of manual things. I need to go to my CRM. I need to find those shoppers. I need to go to my website. I need to somehow match between those shoppers. I need to clean my data, right, and make sure that everything is clean. And I need to do everything super fast because tomorrow the data will be completely different, right? So I need to take all that data and upload it to my email platform, to my paid advertisement platform, whatever I want to do with those audiences. I need to do it super fast. Otherwise, I'm going to send emails to customers or to my shoppers that are already not relevant to those shoppers. So all of these huge challenges is the reason we decided to create an automated audience system, right? So basically, an automated audience system is a system that connects to the data, to the different data sources of the dealership, right? On an ongoing basis, meaning it's not a one-time pool. It's every day, sometimes multiple times a day. The system pulls all the data from all the different data sources and normalizes the data, segments the data, and then uploads it to wherever it needs to be uploaded. So that's the difference between audience automation and manually created audiences.
Yeah, and I would emphasize that it's not just the difference, but it's actually impossible to do it manually. So even if you are a dealership that feels like you're on top of your audiences and you have someone that's dedicated to it, it's unless you're literally sitting there and pulling and uploading audiences all day long, including during your sleeping time, it's impossible. So I think that's a really big differentiator.
Yeah, I think another aspect is making sure that you're engaging with the relevant content, right? But that's, I think, that's a topic for another episode. But that's also, right, the entire process is similar if you want to make sure that you're engaging using relevant content to each one of those shoppers.
Right. Which is also the other side of Nurture, which is nice. It's actually execution on the audience automation. So now you have the audiences and they're uploaded and they're structured and they're maintained automatically. Now we're actually going to send out the relevant content for you. It's obvious why dealers will stay competitive if they're using audience automation over manual. I think if dealers are hesitant, because always there's like a little bit of hesitation when it comes to automation, especially with dealership data, and I understand that. do you have some words of wisdom for dealers that might be hesitant when it comes to audience automation? Again, of course, we can say you're going to stay more competitive because at the end of the day, it's for their benefit. But when it comes to actually data security, is there something that you feel like might be, easy for dealers to like ease their minds a bit if they're hesitant for, I don't know, for whatever reason to use audience and adopt audience automation?
Yeah, so I think the two big concerns that I hear over the years, actually, not just with Nurture about automation, there's two main concerns. The first concern, as you mentioned, is security, right? You're pulling my data, you're storing it somewhere. How can I make sure that it's secure, that it's following best practices? So we got this covered. It's one of the first things that we did as a company that when we understand that we're going to pull a lot of PII, a lot of very secure information. We made sure to have the right certifications. We made sure to follow all the best practices. So again, we are ISO certified, and you can actually find that certification on our website. We follow all the best practices. It's not just something that we do because we need to do it. It's part of what we do on an ongoing basis. We check ourselves. We outsource and we audit. We get audits from other companies just to make sure that all the data is secure. So I think that on that end, we're covered. I think the other concern is the accuracy of the automation, and I think that's on that topic. We're also covered. Everything that we do is being monitored by our team. So we have a team that looks at performance. We have a team that looks at content. We have a team that looks at the normalization of the data, and everything that we do is being monitored. So, for example, if we get a complaint for one customer that we engage with the wrong content, or that we send an email to a shopper that bought a vehicle, we can track that back, right, and make sure that it will never happen again because we missed something in the specific CRM status. Usually, what we see that is the data is correct, meaning in most cases, it's not really, it wasn't really a mistake. It was actually the reality, right? Because the shopper was marked as something in the CRM, but it was actually a different situation. But everything is being monitored. Every concern or any concern that we get from dealerships, it is being looked at by our data engineers, by our product managers. And I think, again, I'm not familiar with any specific situation where we had a major mistake that caused a big friction with any client. So I think that on that topic, we are very much covered as well.
Yeah, I think that's comforting. I also think it's important to note that the data still stays the dealership's data, which is it should be the norm. Unfortunately, it's not. And I know I briefly mentioned Data Lake in the beginning of this conversation, but Data Lake is also a different product. We can have a different podcast episode about it, but it's a way for you to also, organize your data, query your data, be able to see really interesting insights, and that falls under, all the values of AutoLeadStar as well, which is data is yours. It's exportable. You can use it however you want it. I think it's important for dealerships, whatever they invest in, to invest in something where the data stays theirs. So that's also, I think, important. And then before we sign off, I would love for you to give us insight on what's to come on Nurture, things that we should be expecting that will be rolling out, and then we can wrap.
Yeah, sure. So again, I know we already have a lot of things going on with Nurture. But for us, it's just the tip of the iceberg. So I think there's two buckets that are coming in the next few weeks and months. So the first one is improvement to our performance algorithms. That's something that we do on an ongoing basis, making sure that we're pushing updates to the performance algorithms to make sure that open rates are getting better, that click-through rates are getting better, that close rates are getting better, eventually generating more leads and more sales for the dealership. We have a few projects that are running now that hopefully will make performance much better. Campaigns. We, again, on an ongoing basis, we're working on pushing new campaigns to Nurture. So we recently released the newly listed inventory that targets shoppers who are interested in newly listed inventory. That's already available for all dealerships. We are now beta testing pre-order. So if you're leveraging the pre-order data source that we have, you can now advertise pre-ordered inventory using Nurture. This is being beta testing and soon will be available to all dealerships as well. Service campaigns. So we're starting with service to sale. That's a campaign that is coming soon. Spoiler alert. And it will target shoppers who only service with a dealership and never purchase a car from the dealership. So that's in the works. Hopefully, we'll be beta testing very soon. And we have a very long queue of service campaigns, which we know is a very big topic for dealerships. We get a lot of requests. This is also in the works. We're also working on that. It's also already under development, and hopefully will be available for beta in the next few weeks.
Awesome. And then, of course, with the audience automation, you're going to be able to use all those campaigns to actually engage the right people at the right time, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Any other secrets you can spill, or that's it for today?
I think that's it for today. We're always working to improve anything related to ROI communication. Make sure that the dealership understands exactly what audiences we're targeting, what are the performance, what value they are getting from Nurture. That's, again, also something that is that we do on an ongoing basis.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Inside Auto Podcast. For those of you listening, you can find us insideautopodcast.com and on all mainstream outlets, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Ido.
Sure.
Thanks for listening to Inside Auto Podcast. Check out our other episodes with top entrepreneurs and industry leaders.